Hi, it's the 25th of January. I'm Professor Derrick Moot at Lincoln University. We're looking at a new lucerne stand. This stand of lucerne behind the maize was sown in early November, and it's coming up to its first grazing. So how do we know that it's ready for grazing or cutting? Well, the plant's been in the ground, as I said, since the early November period, and it's had about 10 weeks of growth, and it's just gotten to budding up and a few flowers around. So that's an ideal time to be saying, yep, the plant's ready to be taken for its first cut or its first graze. In this case, the establishment required us to also use a herbicide. So in early December we used some Preside to take care of some of the broadleaf weeds that were coming through. Recently there's been some rain, and we've also got some re-establishing, this is Chenopodium album, we call it fat hen, in America it's called lamb's quarter, and this is one of the major weeds that we have in establishing lucerne stands. The good thing about it is that we don't see it in the second year, because once we cut or graze this area and it's gone, it doesn't come back in year two. But it can often be a problem for people who are establishing a stand in their first year. So a lot of stands in New Zealand this year are just coming up to this point of being grazed, and there's a lot of fat hen which could be up to this high above them. The best thing to do with those is simply go in and chop the whole paddock, or graze the paddock, take the lucerne for feed, and then whatever's standing go in and cut that off, and the fat hen will disappear. Not much point in using a herbicide on lucerne, on the fat hen, when it's this size. It's not really going to work. And the thing about fat hen is it really responds to day length. So anything that's going to germinate now, we're coming into midsummer towards our autumn period, the days are actually getting shorter, and so the plants won't get anywhere near as big. Those that germinated in spring through November, when we first put the plants in, they could have grown to huge plants because the days were getting longer. So it's very strongly related to day length as to how big the plant will get. These ones here, you can see a massive seeds on them, and that's the problem with fat hen. It just delivers so much seed that whenever we cultivate the soil, we end up getting a good strike, or as good a strike of the fat hen as we do of the lucerne. But in general, this crop is looking pretty clean. There's not many other weeds in here, the fat hen being the main one, and a grazing or cut that we take off this tomorrow will be the end of the stand and the end of the fat hen. So we'll come back in about 4 weeks' time and have a look at how it's recovered from that grazing. So that's the establishment phase of a lucerne stand.